Alright, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Monster, episode 33.
Okay, so Tenma's having trouble.
Tenma
the idea of killing people.
Yes, Tenma has a bit of a moral compass that is a good thing, but it's something that is keeping him from being able to kill Johan. Yeah. I think this is also something that Johan has counted on, but it was also necessary for Tenma's growth. Tenma
not being a proper sniper is, of course, choosing probably the worst place when Johan might have already even seen him there and...
Yes,
all kinds of stuff.
And it's probably Johan's Keikaku that this ex-SS officer turned bird watcher bumps into Tenma and basically says,
tells him his life
please,
story.
Don't kill anyone else here.
Yeah, think of the birdies.
Yeah, that was a... Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Also, we had another plot going on with Lot and Anna.
And some potential Psycho Ava eyes that Lot had for a little bit.
Lot is probably being steered via Johan's Keikaku to end up becoming crazy.
And she did make the connection between Anna and Johan, so... Yeah.
So things are a little bit interesting right now. Probably need to wrap up the Tenma situation first, and then move into kind of whatever the next stage is of everything. But yeah, guys, it's going to be good. So without further ado, let's get into it. Rain. Child's play.
Oh, lovely.
Oh. Is that being literal, or is that the turn of the phrase child's play? Meaning like, all according to Keikaku, it was child's play. Oh, wait, what?
Okay.
あの時屋上で何をやっていたのかな？
ちゃんとお話しなさい、マルティン。あなた、1階のひさしに当たって植木に引っかからなかったら死んでたかもしれないのよ。ちゃんと先生にお話しして。
We're not showing the face.
もうこれ以上。
See, why are they not showing us?
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I told you, it's like they're intentional. Oh, there's Dieter.
Oh no.
Don't go in the room. Human nature. Curiosity.
Oh boy.
Why are they... Oh. Wow.
いや僕ディータ僕はマルティン
ダメだよ。何やってんだよ。
そこのバッグの中に靴が入ってる。取ってくれ。
何言ってるんだよ。寝てなきゃダメだよ。
靴取れよ。言ってた通りだ。生き返ったら外に出てごらん。世界が変わっているよ。
Lovely.
だって僕は選ばれたんだから。
Well, crap! Well, crap!
Wonderful. So those kids aren't just, like deterrents. No, he's
making his new Kinderheim, basically.
Yeah.
退屈だ。
I hope Dieter's okay through all this, though.
危ない。
君もおいでよ。
Okay.
Oh, he's gonna be a dick, isn't he? Yeah.
なんてことするんだよ。
見ろよ、ほら怖がってるぜ。
やめろよ。
見ろって言ってるんだよ。
What
死
the
にた
heck?
くないよ。いいだろう。生かしといてやろう。遊びだもん。誰もいないビルの屋上のヘリに2人で向かい合って立つんだ。そして目をつぶって互いに一歩一歩近づく。これは決闘なんだ。落ちようが何をしようが生き残れば勝ちだ。生き残った方は選ばれたものだ。
This is so, like, terrifying.
Why do I get the feeling that there's going to be a point where this kid and Dieter are going to be in a similar situation?
I think that's at that point where, like, most people leave. They run away. But the thing is, Dieter really cares about this kid. And he doesn't want to get hurt. So he's getting dragged along because he's...
A friend of the superior children. Wonderful.
僕いいよ。いいから来いってば。話してよ。君ならわかるはずだ。来い。やめて。こんなことされてもまだくだらない世界に埋もれているつもり。
Wow.
来いよ。来て見てみろよ。だって目をつぶって歩いてみろよ。世界は真っ暗だと思ってた。明日は真っ暗だと思ってた。
That's right, yeah.
君は何が好物だ？僕はこの前とっても美味しいソーセージを食べた。でも死んだらもう二度と食べられなくなる。僕はサッカーが好きだ。でも死んだらボール蹴れなくなる。
Wow.
怖いものなんかなくならない。だから大人になるんだって言ってた。明日はいい日だって天馬が言ってた。
Wow.
Is he gonna recognize the name?
Yeah.
死んだら天馬に会えなくなる。
That's sickeningly brilliant. He's trying to manipulate him.
Oh boy.
当てちゃダメだ。ゆっくり膝ついて。られないよ。
Oh, did it work?
僕はヨハンみたいになれない。
Whoa.
Okay.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
ヨハンはもっとすごい遊びをしてるんだ。ヨハンはもうすぐ殺されるって言ってた。ちっとも怖くなかったよ。それで目を開けたら向こうから歩いてきてるはずのヨアヒムが消えてたんだ。見たんだよ。人が死ぬ瞬間をこの目で見たんだ。お茶どうぞ。
どうも。
まったくこの子ったら自分が何やったか分かってないみたいなの。この子は生きてたからよかったけど、あなたからも一言言ってやってくださいね。あなたの言うことならこの子を聞くみたいだから。
何か持ってきてあげるよ。
え、本当？
漫画は禁止でも絵本とかならいいんだろ。
チェ、絵本か。
The one with the monsters?
ねえ、この前言ってたすごい遊びはまだなの？もうすぐ撃ち殺されるかもしれないって言ってたじゃないか。
Oh my gosh, guys. This is so crazy.
私は大学へ行けずに独学でここまで来た。
Whoa. That's impressive.
読んでおこうと思った結果だよ。これだけの蔵書、私どもの図書館に
he's donating
いただけるとは。
Wow, what a guy.
ございません。私は目が見えなくなり。
Yeah.
もはや読む。はい。
But the university's supposed to burn down.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about
判
that.
決欄も考えております。警備の方は招待客のチェックはくれぐれも行って下見するのがいいだろう。
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
会長のゲールマン。
よろしく。
It's so cool though having him actually be,
Like
you know,
seeing him pull the
seeing him
strings.
do things because
Yeah.
normally we just have to assume
シロバル
things.
の蔵書を収める部屋となる。盗難、火災に関しても万全だ。
すごい本の数々だ。人類の財産だな、ヨハン。人類の財産か。
What's preoccupied you? It's like he's smiling, but he's not. Can you see it? Like,
Yeah.
何かお探しですか？
ええ。友達のために何かいい絵本はないかと。
じゃあこれなんかいかがかしら。ね、素敵な絵でしょ。
ああ、
it's a little
いい
like
ですね。
fantasy children's book or something. I thought I saw a castle.
これはどうかしら。
No way.
What is he doing? He's working his wiles.
That seems like...
Yeah.
I was wondering if he put something like a little ember of something inside the book.
Potentially.
So later, take a long time to catch fire.
Maybe.
私のおすすめの絵本なんですけど、あら、いい絵ね。誰の本かしら。チェコのプラハにある出版社ね。
Oh, where he's from. Oh, it's a book that he read. Oh, this was something unexpected. He's trembling. Do you see that?
Yeah.
What is going on? It's triggering memories.
Start crying or laughing or what?
This woman's life is in danger right now, like big time. Oh.
Oh, and they're talking about how hot it is and everything. So
Yep.
So a fire
will do very well. Who is this? Oh, Tenma. Holy crap.
He's gonna try and make the shot from inside the building. All right.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
This episode was chilling. Chilled me to the bone. That just aspect of seeing Johan going about doing just what he does in everyday life, that's interesting. Because we don't get to see that.
No,
we don't get to see that, like, ever.
Not usually. We see it when he makes his move, sometimes.
Yep.
And then we see the aftermath.
And maybe we see when Tenma's, like, scouting him a little bit.
Yeah,
that's really recent. Like, that's a very recent thing. So if the story moves in a direction where we get to see Johan more frequently, I'm totally for that. Because then what we can do is we can introduce things that are flaws to his character. We can introduce human things to his character. Because up until this point, he is basically the monster. And I think it's very intentional of the storyteller to start showcasing him now as he's about to be killed to make us as the audience very subconsciously begin to sympathize with him just a little bit. Not that much. Just yes, have questions for him, but when I say sympathize, I mean that we don't want his story to end here because we're now interested in what the potential
because they're adding new mysteries and all that stuff. It's not just the idea that he's some dark force of, bad juju.
Right.
We
know that he is He is on the morality 3x3. He is in the evil section. It's just a question of whether or not he's a lawful, neutral, or chaotic. I would say he's neutral evil, but the thing is that we don't know why he does half the things he does,
right?
And we can only guess at certain things. But I feel like after this episode, we can now conclude the convergence of a bunch of things coming into this library donation book thing. So we have Tenma, basically, I think, spurring this on. He needs Tenma to have an opportunity where he thinks he can kill him.
Right.
Okay? When this happens, this is the thing. Johan needs to be rid of the Schuolds.
Yes.
They will be here. They will be here. If Tenma fails in his assassination attempt of Johan, everyone will assume that Schuold was the target.
Sure.
If the place burns down somehow with everyone inside it and they all die,
right,
and Schuold dies, Johan is completely blameless because they'll all assume it was the same guy that tried to shoot them.
Yeah.
And basically hide the evidence in the fire.
Right.
The fire being prophesied or whatever by some weirdos or whatever, it just adds extra value to this whole thing actually happening.
Right.
And it can't be stopped. This is a part of Johan's plan.
Yep.
So what Tenma needs to do is to stay away from this thing entirely. Completely.
Yes.
But this is the thing. There's too many important people that are going to be here, which means Johan doesn't really care whether or not probably Tenma lives or dies from this, but Johan's going to get a lot of people in this whole thing, whether he wants, Tenma there or not.
Yeah.
So I think basically his entire plan has been to lead up to this moment where he commits basically a mass murder accident of sorts.
Right.
And gets Schuold to die in circumstances that would either leave things to Carl or Schuald and Carl both die.
Right.
And then he's already set up the businesses in such a way that Johan might be a beneficiary in some way.
Yep.
I do think, though, it might be a little bit early for him to kill off both of them. But if you think about it, logically, let's say in the middle of the library, whole thing or whatever, Johan manipulates it to split the two of them up, Carl and Schuald. And then he doesn't really care, actually, which one dies. As long as one of them dies, the other one will be so distraught by the loss of the other that it'll be way easier to manipulate. And in that respect, if Schuald dies, Johan is Carl's basically source of comfort as a replacement for that.
Yep.
If Carl dies, Johan is the replacement son. Yeah. So it's brilliant. It's sickeningly twisted and brilliant. The thing about the kids, though, is the kind of thing of where I believe the kids are the ones that are going to be used to burn the library.
I could see that.
Because if you need a way to make it blameless as to why the whole thing happened... And
no one pays attention to kids.
No one pays attention to kids. Kids are the most, innocent, unassuming beings when it comes to security measures and stuff. So they'll literally let them just wander the halls and do whatever they want.
Yeah, or at least if they're there in the aftermath, they're not going to question them and be like, "Where were you?"
Yeah, and what Johan, I think, is manipulating all these kids to do is to make them hyper aware of how bored they are with their lives, so that they can have some kind of fun. Some kind of game that gives them enjoyment, and for them to get excited about the prospect of watching other people die, individuals, that preps them for watching a lot of people die, and then also being the, what? No, I didn't do it. What are you talking about? So, I think Dieter's bit with this other kid, Martin, is a huge potentially towards the actual library's game. So Dieter is now the secret weapon that Johan never expected.
No one ever expects a kid.
Yeah. And, I'm so excited.
There are so many things they could do with that. It'd be so amazing. One of the things that I am just terrified of, though, is the idea that, think of all the variables and all the pieces that Johan has to work with here. He's got Schuald and Carl, right?
Gotcha.
He's got potentially Lot. He's got potentially a small army of kids. His resources are kind of limitless right now.
He has access to Schuald's money to some extent.
Right. And the whole, one of the most terrifying things from this, the stuff with the kids and all that stuff, that was terrifying. But the thing that got to me was the butler, the chief of security, or whoever it was for Schuald, that's like, we need to make sure that, no one, blah, 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 there's no one dangerous and all that stuff, beef up security. Totally makes sense. That's probably his job. And then after that, Johan comes in. It's the idea that even when he's not there, he still has people doing his bidding.
Right.
I get the feeling he was even planning on using the librarian, lady, or the lady in there before he saw the book, and that, that of course changed things.
Right. And that's a big thing to bring up. I think that things are going to change a little bit. Because I feel like Johan was leveraging the knowledge that he knew that Tenma was out to kill him to try and get some sympathy from the kids. And then he systematically tore down basically the idea of dying. It's no big deal. I'm going to die. Yeah, it's just going to happen. But when he went to the librarian, yes, I think he was trying to get another pawn. But seeing that book...
They didn't show us the book.
They didn't show us the book, which means I think we're right, our theory that it's probably tied to the ending's images, because it's the kind of thing where you notice how the spine, the structural integrity of the book was not as well kept as the other books.
Sure.
And the art of the imagery in the ending has almost this kind of worn look to it.
Yeah,
that might be just the intention of the presentation of sorts, but
and it might not necessarily have a correlation because this is an adapted story. So the ending doesn't necessarily have to be from that. They might not have had the foresight to do that. They totally could have, but that's the thing. It's an adaptation, which means that
it would be easier for them to make an ending based off of already existing art.
Absolutely.
So I think it's more likely than not.
Yeah.
If this book, though, is tied to Johan's past, given that it's from the Czech Republic, and that is where Johan was found.
Right. Because it was crossing the border of Czechoslovakia, right? Or something like that.
Yes, something like that. But the point is that with Johan having a tie to his past that literally caused him to pass out of probably fear or stress
something,
or like
assuming that was actually something
real.
that was beyond his control.
I feel like it was.
I feel like it was too.
It was their intention to show us, I think, in this episode more than any other episode, what he looks like normally.
Yeah.
So when he goes around doing his day and stuff, he's very composed and he speaks in a silky,
sweet
voice.
And he's just constantly
Soothing
making
silver tongue.
puns wherever he goes. That's just what he does, right? He'll save him for a rainy day.
Yeah, this made him lose a pawn.
Yeah.
Like, he was working her, and it was working, and he lost control of her because this book happened. So therefore, I don't think it was... I think he will wing it. He will make use of it in some way, but I think that this might have screwed things up for his plan.
And that just adds more complications because now, again, it's the whole idea of the Johan and the split personality Johan and all that.
Oh, one of the split reasons, personality.
That could be an aspect of it. Like, and inherently, whether it is that or not, whether it's something from his past or whatever, it makes it so that there's more players involved, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, all the people that are Johan's pawns, they don't count as far as being parties in this whole case because they're just essentially on Johan's side, even if they don't know it.
Right.
And then there's basically Tenma, and then if we wanted to go out there, we could say there's Lung, but not really. So by adding this aspect in there, whether it's split personality or something else, that at least makes it appear like there's a third party involved, kind of. So, because we can't predict Johan as easily now, because he didn't see this coming, so, what's going to happen there?
Right, but they had that little bit of showing then Tenma going and scoping out the place, pun intended. And then we see that Johan is gone. So...
Yeah.
What is Johan doing now?
Yeah,
if the next episode doesn't focus on Johan, I'm going to be kind of frustrated because I'll be like, they're teasing us.
Yeah.
They're teasing us.
I feel like it's kind of like how they brought Anna back and then she's not in this episode at all. Like those sorts of things. Because I feel like they're setting up a lot of variables and stuff, so they're not necessarily going to touch on all of them in any given episode. We haven't seen Lung for a while, but he's still doing his thing, so...
There are a lot of variables. You're right. Like when you kind of take note of all of them and put them into a list, there are quite a large number of them. And I really do wonder if the library donation, gifting ceremony, whatever thing, is the convergence point of all of it, or just the majority of it regarding Tenma.
Right.
And then once he's moved that out of the way, the next stage of his plan goes into effect, and all the other variables become relevant.
Yep.
I do think, though, that if the fire thing does happen, it's the kind of thing that will put Lung's nose onto Tenma. Now, I don't think that Johan is like an omniscient god and can predict Lung in this instance.
Right, because at the very least he couldn't predict the book,
Well, we know that Johan can make mistakes now.
Yep.
But the thing is that, like, how much does this actually change anything?
Right. Is this just something that happened, but then, in a little bit he's back to being his normal Johan self? Or did this actually very deeply rattle him and it's going to have some sort of lasting effect?
And also this has the possibility of confirming the multiple personality aspect, which I'm glad you brought up because I completely kind of forgot about that. Because I think that the fact that it was brought up so long ago and hasn't really been readdressed since seeing Johan so much means that it's a plot point,
but it's not an immediate.
It's not an immediate plot point, which means it's got less likely of actually being right
or at least relevant, unless it's later in the story. After they give it time to.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing where it's like all the way at the very end where it's like Deus Ex Machina, but you forgot that he had a split personality. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But this episode giving us this much insight into what Johan's day-to-day activities are gives me the chills, because when Martin had his little walk and talk with Dieter, I got really excited because Dieter as a character hasn't had moments to shine and just be himself and stuff. Yeah. But when he knocked over the guy's the older guy walking through the park and stuff, and he started like actually potentially killing the guy, like there was this sick moment where we realized, I think, that the kid is underneath Johan's influence, so I can't be mad at the kid. Like I almost like but the kid is blameless, like absolutely. But the thing is that I think that that's kind of probably the twisted part of Johan, is that at any point in the story, he could claim the monster made me do it.
Right. Well, yeah.
I was scared. Like I had and I have this really like sneaking suspicion that Johan has like double firewall like backup plans in case of when Johan does stare him down with a gun pointed at his head, and Johan will go crocodile tears and will like do like every puppy eye trick in the book.
That's why high caliber round from very far away.
I know. My thing is though is that we know that every single time Tenma makes a move in that direction, it's going to fail. It's going to fail. Yep. And we have to just acknowledge that because of who Tenma is, but also because Johan is not going to be as predictable, I think, anymore. I feel like we were attributing everything that could potentially be a negative thing to our protagonist as being like Johan's influence. Now I think they did that just to kind of rattle our
because
perception of Johan.
Because it makes it so that we're not sure how things are going to go. Because the whole idea, when you have a force like Johan that's been built up this much, you kind of know how things have to go. Like, otherwise the whole idea of what Johan is broken. And the way they did this here, it doesn't take away from the whole coolness, sort of like so above everything and Machiavellian and all that. But it changes the playing field. So I have no idea what's going to happen next.
Well, no, we do know what's going to happen next. Like for the most part, it's just that it's not going to be necessarily like Johan's plan. Like
it's probably going to be a lot more chaotic.
We don't know how much of it is Johan's desire. Like how much of it is directly because of his desire / control. And that's the thing that I think is chilling, is that Johan might end up getting so influential, but not have like direct control anymore. So people are running on basically like they're programming, preset brainwashing / programming, and then they do things, and Johan's like, well, I
can work with that.
75% chance of being helpful, so I'll take those odds, And then we have moments where this kid Martin, I believe Dieter actually set him free. For the first part, initially,
it seemed like it.
Well, that's the thing. When he first started to be like, oh no, I'm falling, I'm like, crap. Because I thought that Johan's influence was so perfect, so total, that he was doing this as a way to basically try and lure the kid to his death, lure Dieter to his death. But then we realize, no, Johan's control isn't perfect. It isn't absolute.
In a lot of ways, that's kind of like what this whole episode was about, now that I think about it. Even though this episode did a lot to build up Johan's influence.
Right.
It also, reminded
tore
us...
it down a lot.
It tore it down a lot. He's not a god,
No, he is working with human beings.
Right.
And human beings are not consistent.
A human being.
Exactly. So that's good. That's good. I think that bit with Dieter and Martin is going to be huge in terms of plot.
Oh yeah.
But I think also there's an element of this. There's an element of this where I can feel myself potentially getting strung along. So let's play devil's advocate for a second. Let's say Martin is playing the game. This is all the game.
Sure. And it's all Johan doing it for misinformation to seed it in there.
Yeah.
And
It's all this thing, basically. Maybe this whole thing is basically just a way to have Dieter try and dissuade Tenma from shooting Johan.
Sure.
That might be the whole thing. But let's say this is his keikaku, you know?
Yeah.
We have Martin essentially becoming friends with Dieter. This is the kind of thing where Dieter isn't actually friends with Martin. All he did was he ended up saving him. So what he might feel is a little bit of a duty, responsibility / kind of, I owe it to Martin to make sure that he's okay. The thing is then, if Martin makes any kind of requests, kind of, like, I need you to do something for me, or can you come with me to the library, or something like that.
Right.
Like anything of that nature. Well, now we know.
Right.
But the thing is that let's say he broke Johan's influence because he said Johan's name. He said Johan's name.
Yeah.
Johan is not wanting to exist. He doesn't want people to know that he was there. And I think that this library incident is the perfect way to leave no trace.
Yeah, we've already seen he loves burning documents, you know. So
yeah. So let's say Martin ends up talking to someone important in addition to Teeter.
Like
Dieter. I said Teeter. John Teeter.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's say like Tenma. Or at the very least, Dieter then goes, there's a kid that Johan has been, manipulating.
Right. Yep.
And then Tenma's like, wait, what? And then it becomes a thing where Tenma's less interested now about killing Johan and is more interested about saving some kids. Okay. What that does is that still gets Tenma off of the shoot Johan trail because it makes it about saving kids. So I think that on some level we will never be able to completely rid ourselves of the notion that everything is going exactly the way Johan wants, no matter what we see. No matter what we see at all.
Even if we were to see Tenma blow Johan's brains out.
Yep. Like, that's the thing I think that this episode is meaning. Yeah. Remember the episode's what it's called? Child's Play. So, all this is easy. I think that's what the episode is trying to tell us, but also it's trying to say that, Child's Play,
it could be making
on the literal sense,
right? Yeah, it's the idea that Johan is still a child.
Yes, just exactly. He's not that good,
right? Or at least he's not untouchable.
Sure.
He's not above getting a bit too involved. Getting compromised. Yeah.
Being maybe too confident and stuff.
Sure.
So, do you think that when the fire happens, because the fire's happening, the fire's happening. Do you think that we're going to see multiple named character deaths? Like a lot? Do you think we'll see just like one or two, or none?
I will say more than one. They won't necessarily all be because of the fire.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. In my mind, Schuwald and Carl. Those are, two that are definitely on the chopping block list.
Okay.
But then there's also Lot.
Well, she is in a separate state of things.
But
I feel like she's going to be more of a danger in the mansion post-fire.
Possibly. Who knows? Yeah. But I see like there's going to be something where even if it's not necessarily directly at the the university when fire happens, it's going to be like in quick succession, soon after or soon before or whatever.
Right. Okay.
Because they've been doing a lot of build up to this event, even before we knew that they were building up to this event.
Yep.
So I feel like this is where most of the stuff is going to happen. This is going to be a climax of this arc of the story.
I agree. I do not think it will be the climax, though.
Gotcha.
I think it will be the first climax post Richard death.
Gotcha.
Basically, that this will be Johan's display of his influence with him, not even really touching it. I do think this is a way for Tenma to be outed primarily. But I don't think
potentially, yeah.
I don't think that it's going to instantly solve his climbing in the social structure of power through Schuwald. So
because
I think that the final bit will happen in the mansion with like Lot either like strangling Carl.
Yeah.
Or
Schuld. Like,
well,
I mean,
nah.
she's talked about how she doesn't like that, Schuld is taking all his attention now and all that stuff. So
yeah, but I think that if Schuld was alive, there would be security around him.
Good point.
So I feel like
good point.
I feel like Carl is one that she can get closer to.
Yeah,
and also
Schuld's easy to die in the fire because he's an old guy. He's in a wheelchair. Smoke, like just the smoke alone, like it doesn't even have to be the
Who
fire.
knows? Like he could end up being like, put into a coma or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it could set on like heart failure and he dies of natural causes a year later. Johan still wins.
Right.
I do think, though, that of all the people to make it out of the fire okay, though, Schuld is one of the ones that's actually the safest because in the instance of them having this much security and say a fire starts or a gunshot happens, they would get him out of that building in 10 seconds.
Fast, yeah.
So fast. Into a big car and they'd be gone.
Into like an armored car with like helicopter pickup.
He's what, a billionaire?
Yeah.
He's a stupid rich person.
Yep.
So whenever you have someone that stupid rich, they've got like 12 people in the building that you don't see.
Yeah.
Like there's this.
Tenma's the only one with the sniper.
Well, no, not like that.
Not
I'm just
like
talking
that.
about people that are just big guys that you won't think are obvious security unless you're trained to look for those.
Sure.
Kinds of things.
Oh yeah.
So there's an obvious security, but yeah. Also, another variable that hasn't been brought up again recently is Roberto.
That's true.
Roberto,
he could be the one that's in charge of basically burning down the building, like barricading entrances and making sure no one gets out.
There'd be people outside the building, Jacob.
True.
No. I think that the way the fire is dangerous is that it represents something that can be blamed on Tenma.
Okay.
And that people will still probably die there. But I think in order to have a fire start and go that quickly, the library is a perfect place to do it because it's books,
Oh yeah, a bunch of dry paper.
But you still won't. It still won't be easy for them to keep people from leaving the building.
Right, unless they can manage to lock them in there somehow.
Yeah, and in order to do that, they would need to find some way to seal essentially people outside the building.
And there's for a building that big, there's going to be tons of exits.
Yeah. So I think it might be more so about maybe some kind of important information that will end up being in the library that maybe they couldn't have predicted that will end up being destroyed.
Here's another thing that could potentially happen. Even though there's probably a ton of exits, this whole thing that's happening is probably going to be in one specific area of the library. They showed it, right?
Well, it'll be in the main lobby area.
Yeah.
Probably.
But
there'll be people all throughout the building.
There will be people all throughout the building, but I don't know. We don't know what the layout of the building is, so I wonder if it's possible that the fire could start in such a way, if engineered and all that stuff, right? So that it ends up basically kind of surrounding the lobby, and then it's like, where do they go?
You know what it could be?
What?
Fire is so overrated. Explosives, however,
Sure.
still causes a fire.
Sure.
But a way to do it would be exactly what you're saying. Is you line the perimeter with explosives underground.
Or just straight up like have Roberto go around with gasoline or something. Like if he's able to like go around when there's like not many people going around and he just kills, the few people out there with his silenced gun or something. Like I don't
Possibly.
know. Yeah, or the kids,
If Roberto literally came there with like 12 guys and they like quietly killed everyone out there and replaced them with security, or actually that would be the twisted thing.
Oh, they are the security.
They are the security.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh my god, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep,
that makes perfect sense. Crap. Forget all that previous stuff. Roberto and his cronies are the security.
Yep. Wonderful.
And they'll be the ones outside. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, then now we figured that out.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that, but
it doesn't have to be. But
it makes sense.
That would make it work. And then they mentioned the whole thing of we need to make sure that we're on top of the things with security. So that means like they're probably going to bring in additional security.
Extra, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
But wait, Johan in the building though.
How does Johan get out of there?
How does Johan get out?
Well, I mean, hey, that could be part of it. Like that way Tenma, like maybe Tenma really believes Johan's dead. Like maybe he even shot him, and then the building burned down.
This
like
whole
double
thing
tap,
is,
you know.
Well, that's
and
maybe
then
it.
Johan just disappears.
Well, that's the thing, is that Johan could be using this as a way to end the trail permanently.
Sure. Yeah, he's always been about erasing his existence, you know.
And he dies here.
Yep.
Dies.
Yeah. Along with everyone else that really knew him. So maybe the whole thing with like Lot and things like that. He's actually, it's not so much of it, whether she's going to kill someone. He just wants to make sure that she's here.
You know what's also brilliant? This whole thing of Johan being who he is and such, right?
Yeah.
This is something that I've always kind of had the nervous suspicion about.
Okay.
When they mentioned the multiple personality thing.
Yep.
I had this thought, okay. What if Johan's whole goal is to become immortal, okay? To be the last person alive. Because when you think about saying the last person alive, he's not saying he wants to kill everyone necessarily in his lifetime. Think about that. How can he get enough power to kill everyone but him?
If he's able to influence, say, the kids so that they become mini versions of him or whatever that live on and all that stuff, and then he's just the one that started it all. And...
Exactly. His whole goal is to create another him.
Sure. Okay.
And that's how he'll win, and Tenma will lose, but Tenma will still stop.
Is that
Johan.
even though he... Yeah, okay,
Basically, he'll say, it's too late. I've already made, like, 50 of me.
Yeah.
And they will go on and make 50 of me. Maybe. They might not be as good. Maybe they'll make just 3.
Make 5. Yeah. 5 or 3 or something.
But that's 150.
Like, yeah. Are you
going
to kill all of them?
Yeah, are you going to kill all of them, Tenma? Basically, I'm looking at this from the
at what you were able to birth by saving me.
Right. Yeah. So what I'm thinking of potentially is this situation. I think is a bit too early in the story, but what if it's not? What if Johan does actually die here?
That would be insane.
And this is the thing. He's predicting that he's going to die, right?
Yeah.
So he's almost trying to set up his whole, like, I am a savior, and I will die, but I will rise on the 3rd day. And this is the thing. We already have precedent for potentially a second Johan. The multiple personality thing.
Yep.
What if the multiple personality thing isn't even another personality? This is how Johan has been in multiple places, you know.
He just already has other people.
Right, he grabbed a kid from Kinderheim.
Sure.
And all this time,
and
he's
even
been
the ones that
them.
Didn't work out, he just had killed, like the person that Richard
killed, he's all about the superior children. And these children are basically just more extensions of that.
Yeah, there we go.
And that he could die. In fact,
anytime you can make the villain die and have them still win,
you have an amazing story.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting anything past Johan at this point, but what I think this episode did almost perfectly was it tore down actually his godlike qualities, made him human, and then also made it even worse. Also made it even worse because now I think that almost everything is on some level potentially still according to Keikaku for Johan.
Oh boy.
I'm loving this show. This is interesting. Like,
it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah.
Guys, if you want to watch the next episode's reaction right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there, you can watch full-length reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, where you can chat with us about stories or whatever. And if ain't that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.